Um, Today we continue, quite frankly, we've been on it before. It's all about the subsidy removal thing. It is having its repercussions, and so let's talk about some of that. Now, one of the things that the subsidy reduction is going to do, we've heard, is save us a lot of money, a lot of money, and that we can then apply that to other things that we need in our society. Yeah, that's to one side. But Nigerians also notice that, truth be told, we do have a large government kind of a system, or at least a large expenditure. There are those who even call it ostentatious. You got one big man. This is one of the names that a politician bears in this our locale. You have one big man, and you have so many people in his entourage when he moves from point A to B. People are looking at that and extrapolating that it's costing us far too much. So as we are saving money from the removal of subsidy and other measures that are indeed to be put in place, how about this, looking at the cost of governance and seeking to reduce that too? People have noticed how much the National Assembly is going to have to be paid, and that has been budgeted for, and they just can't understand it. That, look, if we say we're going to be saving money, why are we, to them, to those who think like that, frittering away money just to massage the ego, it would appear to them, of some of our politicians? Okay, without much ado, Honorable Ogene Ego, a former member of the House of Representatives, the 8th and 9th session, now a member of the ECOWAS Parliament, is one of our guests this morning. A fine morning to you, Honorable Ego.
I'm honored to be around again, FOLARIN.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. I'm glad that you could hear us. We also have Mr. Tunde Adekunle. Mr. Tunde Adekunle is an expert oil and gas projects management. In fact, he's a senior manager, contract management in that sector. A fine morning to you, Mr. Tunde Adekunle, who joins us via Zoom. Okay. Yeah, Mr. Adekunle certainly is there. We've spoken already. It does happen from time to time. He might have dropped out. But Honorable Ego, let me start from you, sir. Nigerians seek reduction in the cost of governance. Now, you've been in government, at least one of the tiers. You've been in the House of Representatives in the 8th and 9th session, and now you're in the ECOWAS Parliament. I don't know, you might be able to do some comparison between those two bodies, but on the main point of reducing the cost of governance in the country, would you identify with it, or do you think that those who are calling for it don't quite understand the nature of these things?
Yes, FOLARIN. I know that the need to reduce the cost of governance have become more apparent, especially now that the price of petrol has gone up, subsidy has been removed. But let us face it, the reasoning behind the removal of the subsidy is very sound. I'm sure everybody agrees that the president did very well by taking that bold step. Because by removing the subsidy, there's going to be more money available to government. Every state government can now have money to pay their workers well, promote workers, even employ more workers. And this is going to become manifest. A lot of billions are being saved. Instead of those money going to private hand or going to feed petrol in the Niger Republic, Sudan, Cameroon, Chad, and other neighboring countries. We cannot be Father Christmas or so. The president have done well. It's a bold step that Tinubu took. Now, we're talking about the cost of governance that is very high. There's need to reduce it. I agree entirely. But when we talk about reducing the cost of governance, people narrow their view. All they think about is the National Assembly. But the budget of the National Assembly is not up to 1% of the national budget. In fact, it is less than 0.5%, it's less than 0.5%. The budget of the National Assembly is 0.00% of the entire budget. So if we over-focus on National Assembly, you find out that we'll not be able to reduce the cost of governance. In talking about the reduction in the cost of governance, let us look at the state governments. where you have people with security vote. So governors in the month, they take up to 2, 4, 5 billion every month on security vote. If you multiply this, a governor could be taking over 50 or 100 million naira per annum on security vote. Nobody is focusing on that. And that money is not scrutinized. So what I'm saying is, let's look beyond the National Assembly. There are a host of other areas that government can save money. But if we find out that the National Assembly money can still be saved there, oh, why not? But I'm saying that focusing on only the National Assembly is not going to be the right thing. A situation where state governors collect money that cannot be scrutinized because security vote, which is just a habit from the military era, is unacceptable. And both the governors, both the local government, even at the federal level, the security vote issue, we think it should be cancelled. It was a military thing, and they've continued to keep it. If we remove that security vote issue, we will save a lot of billions of governors. That is
I'm going to come back to you. Thank you very much, sir. I'm going to come back to you. Let me go over to Mr. Tunde Adekunle, who I introduced, but we haven't seen him yet. Good morning, Mr. Adekunle.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Just waiting to see you as well. But, you know, maybe it's still part of the whole network thing. Well, it's your area, and sometimes the way the conversation goes, they link oil and the revenue and the wealth that comes from there to how government is spending. Now, if we've removed subsidy, I guess what the executive, what President Tinubu, what this administration is saying to us is that, guys, we're going to have to tighten our belts. We have to do this. We don't have a choice in it. So people would appear to have said, okay, if that is what needs to be done, not everybody is down with it, but if that's what needs to be done, so be it. But then people are noticing, but how about some examples from you, sir? We are trekking now. We are managing now. You don't look to be managing, you people in government, from the presidency to governors to local government councils. It's all happy-go-lucky. Well, maybe not exactly happy-go-lucky. Maybe I overstated it a bit. But you get what I mean, that we can't see any tightening of the belt from your side. What do you think about this whole concept, sir?
Right. Thank you very much. I have a saying, which is Nigerian government leaders, say our leaders, we've been living a life of an expatriate. What I mean, Nigerians living as an expatriate in their own country. This phenomenon was handed over to us by the colonial masters. You see, what I mean by being an expatriate in your own country is this. Let me just, because of the time frame. You know, when you are headhunted to work in a foreign country, your host will make your life much more comfortable than where you're coming from. Just like when the colonials came to Nigeria, they gave them the houses, the GRAs, and all what have you, to make them comfortable. And when they were leaving, they handed these things. We inherited it from them, and we built upon it. Now, this is the problem. This is the problem. We have grown into it. We don't know any other life of luxury than this life of being an expatriate in your own country. When you go abroad, no government the only government official that lives that lives on the expenses of the taxpayers are the president, the vice president, the state governors, and the chief judge. And in UK, is the PM, the speaker, and the deputy PM. Everybody lives on his own like every average citizen does. So there is not much difference between the legislators, the MPs, and the citizens of the nation. That is one aspect. Now, when you look at the running of governance, do you know how much we spend on provision of vehicles? Now we have convoys. when a commissioner has 2 cars, or I think 3 cars, so to say, he has one which is a pilot vehicle, he has a backup, making 2, then he has one for the madam at home. That is not done. It doesn't happen anywhere in the world. No government provides official car. Even if they're going to provide official car, it is leased. They don't buy cars. So if we could cut on this as well, say instead of buying cars, because every year government buys vehicles. Instead of buying vehicles, why don't you lease for a period of 2-3 years? That is cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
You are saving on that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, apart from that as well, it is practice that, say, the parastatals, it's not just about government officials like ministers and what have you. The government parastatals, government agencies, the national population, the agencies under government, both state and federal. When they appoint a new DG, the first thing they do, they give an accommodation. Like I said earlier on, nobody has accommodation. No government official lives in government house. There's nothing like DRA anywhere in the world. It's only in Nigeria you have government reservation area. We don't have that. You don't have that. That is why government is easier and cheaper to run abroad. Now, when you talk about offices as well, every year in the budget, you have what we call furnitures and equipment and stuff like that. Computers every year. Nobody buys computers every year in every government office. What they do, you lease. Once you lease these computers for years, maybe 2 or 3 years, 4 years, even in hospitals or agencies, they go into leasing because it's cheaper for them. And you know that a computer has a lifespan. It is updated every year.
Okay.
In the past, sorry?
No, I just please continue. I have to go on a break, but I wanted you to land your thought.
But, yeah.
Okay.
So these things, we have to address these things. We have to address these issues.
Indeed.
Where we spend, like, instead of buying, we can lease things for years. And when you lease, the responsibility of maintaining goes on to the leasing company. So we're not spending on maintenance of these things.
Okay.
The leasing company sign a leasing contract to manage the equipment for you. Then you save a lot.
Okay, tell you what, Mr. Adekunle, I beg your pardon for interrupting you. Sorry for butting in, but I've got to go on a break now. But stay with us, please, because we'll be right back, and then we'll continue with this conversation and also take your calls on this subject matter of seeking to the reduction in the cost of governance in Nigeria. Stay with us, please.
Stubborn dark marks? Try new Nivea Lumina 630. Visibly reduces up to 10 years of stubborn dark marks in just 4 weeks. New Nivea Lumina 630. Get even and luminous skin.
Never miss a moment. Instant breaking news from all over the globe. Live streaming of your favorite programs delivered directly to you. Watch anytime from anywhere on your mobile or smart devices. Download the TVC News app today. Available on Google Play and Apple Store.
Stubborn dark marks? Try new Nivea Lumina 630. Visibly reduces up to 10 years of stubborn dark marks in just 4 weeks. New Nivea Lumina 630. Get even and luminous skin.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking it.
Okay, welcome back, and we're looking, the subject matter is seeking a reduction in the cost of governance in Nigeria. Our guest, Honorable Ogene Ego, is a former member of the House of Representatives. He's now a member of the ECOWAS Parliament. We also have Mr. Tunde Adekunle, who's an expert in oil and gas projects management as well. You know, coming back to you, Honorable, just looking at the nature of this conversation, I guess Nigerians are feeling, and I'm not too sure right now whether they are right or not. But Nigerians are feeling that we are managing because we are led, and we have been led, and we, you know, this hardship, this current hardship, it's not exactly unbearable, but it is a hardship. We are bearing it. We haven't seen anything from governor, from those in charge of governance to show that they are leading by example. Now, of course, we can't get ridiculous about it. There was a time in this country, old heads will remember, going back to the late Murtala Muhammad, when the head of state, that was the #1 public servant, he had a Peugeot 504 or 505, certainly not anything more than a 505. I remember those black Peugeots. Obasanjo, former civilian president Obasanjo, when he was a military head of state, he also had that Peugeot thing. But suddenly you now see it different, and people are taking the sort of leanings from there, because we get to see our president almost every day. We get to see our governors almost every day. And if the news cameramen, you know, go and add a little jara of a picture of them arriving for the function that we're viewing, it looks like an admiring sight to a lot of people. People play that. That's what I want to be like when I grow up. When I grow up, I'll be something, and I'll have about 50 cars in my entourage. So this, you didn't address that question as well as you could, because you know, you gave us some aspects of it. But that aspect of leading by example, of course, allowing for the ridiculous. Not we can't have a president or a governor without any security at all. But that whole aspect of change our thinking. You asked us. Government has asked us to change our thinking in relation to petrol. So now we're beginning to decide, well, we can't use 5 cars anymore for those who have 5 cars. Even those who have 2 cars, you can't use 2 cars anymore. We're going to have to manage this one. Government is yet to come across in like manner. That is the premise for conversation. I don't know if you see it from the point of view of the ordinary man to whom perception is almost fact.
Yes, FOLARIN, I agree with you entirely that the common man is suffering. You know, look at the cost of fuel. It's so high. But like I said, it's something that we have to bear for some time. I'm sure that by the end of the year, when the new budget comes, more money is now budgeted to the state, local governments to do more things on the palliative for the common man, then they will be need to have a little bit of relief. But
so you're not. But sir, sorry, I want to butt in here. I must butt in here.
The cost of governance. I think we need to look more at executive arm of government, like my colleague there mentioned. Ministers,
yes, Mr. Adekule.
Some have about 3 jeeps, you know, head of parastatals, you know, and nobody talks about them because it's opaque. Their budget are not being known. It's only National Assembly budget that people hear about. Oh, everybody's shouting. But in terms of percentage, National Assembly budget is very low. We need everybody needs to cut costs. I'm coming, just a moment. Everybody needs to cut this cost. We need an emergency situation where everybody from National Assembly, especially the executive arm of government, they must reduce their cost of government and announce it to say, hey, this was what we spent in 2022 or 2023, the budget. This is what we are going to spend now in terms of government. That needs to be done so that the ordinary man will know that if he's bearing the brunt of the removal of the oil subsidy, the money is not going to be wasted by some other people. Another area is corruption. Corruption increases cost of governance more than anything. You know, so, and it's executive arm of government that awards contract. So they need to look at all this area, focus on it, because the common man have really suffered. And but I'm satisfied that by the end of the day, more revenue is going to come in, and the common man, when more revenue comes, unless it's a state governor who refuses to do the right thing with the money that will come into his coffers, I'm sure that the ordinary citizen will be happy that the petroleum subsidy was removed.
Okay. Mr. Adekule, as you know, we are a religious nation. So the moment somebody gets elected to one house of assembly, or maybe the legislature at the federal level, of course the people begin. They head for church, Thanksgiving service. Why would that be? That's only because, our time has finally come. And so they expect you to have developed exponentially. It just is the way it is. In fact, some of the gentlemen in governance are also complain to us that this is the problem we're facing. Our people don't understand. And so as soon as they hear that we've been successful in election, they lay all complaints at our door, see what you can do for me. So it's like they are saying that even the society is pushing them in that direction. But I'm still looking for a definitive statement. I cited the example of back in the day, in this very country, the highest servant, public servant, namely, I think it was a head of state at that time, Babangida called it military president. That was the #1 top public servant. They were driving Peugeot 504s at a time. That point is there. Something happened, because you would have thought that President Obasanjo, as he was when he was in office, because he had come from that era, would be resisting, would have a resistance to the kind of opulence we now see, where everybody is trying to match the U.S. president's motorcade. Coming as close to it as you can. That's what everybody seems to be doing, and our people seem to think it's part of it. So it's not just the politicians, Mr. Adekunle, who you told us earlier, have inherited this syndrome of living like an expatriate in your own country. Even we, the people, seem to think that it's good, it's not bad, because now I can go and approach them and say, so what's in it for me? What can you do for me? And that kind of a thing. So I don't know, it's a societal thing, and that's why I was thinking that these people who are spending so much, they didn't give it to themselves. The society has given it to them over time. It has become convention. Until they take the conscious decision, like President Tinubu has taken on our behalf in relation to petroleum, take a conscious decision that, you know what, guys, we're going to have to scale down. It doesn't look good the way we're driving around the way it is. The ones that the people will understand that as they are managing, we are also suffering. That aspect, it might be more psychological than anything else, but it doesn't look like any of them are ready yet to give us that gesture.
Okay. Thanks. One thing is this. Government is too attractive.
I hear you.
Like I said earlier.
I hear you.
It's too attractive. Like I said earlier on. An MP, there's not much difference between myself and an MP. We live your MP, which is your representative. It could be your neighbor. You could live in the same neighborhood. It doesn't live outside his environment. So you're almost on the same level. So, but in Nigeria, it's not so. So it's too attractive. Once it becomes too attractive, then you have all these attractions. These added responsibilities, because people see that you have more than them, then they want to seek favor from you. This is what you just explained. Now, like in order to cut down costs, we're talking about cutting down costs.
Yes.
Now, right. The gentleman says something about the legislators, that people are looking at the legislators. Of course, people are looking at the legislators. These are our representatives. We put them there to represent us, not to feed on us. Now, how can you explain? Okay, let me just say something here. Now, I believe the last assembly, the president, the Senate president had official vehicles, right? They all had official vehicles. So what happened to those vehicles? That the new president of the Senate can't take over and run those vehicles. Why do they have to buy new vehicles? What happened to those vehicles? We know we all know what happens when an outgoing government official leaves that position. It goes away with the vehicle.
Well, one has to be careful here. We don't know exactly how they do what they do. But
okay,
what you have said is not strange to me. I've heard of it in other departments.
We've heard it.
Yes.
After all, under this same government, we see is in the news that some cars were retrieved from some government officials. These are government cars retrieved.
Yes. So even though these are symbolic, even though these things are really are symbolic, because God knows where we are actually losing a lot of money by way of
I can let me narrow it down. Okay, let's look at it this way. Now here, like I said earlier on, they live among the people.
That's right.
They don't have anything called a GRA.
No.
Government does not rent properties for them. Now, instead of renting, what they are given is an accommodation allowance, which is a percentage of your take home.
Okay, so, I got to go on another break, Mr. Adekunle. I got to go on another break. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back.
Stubborn dark marks? Try new Nivea Lumina 630. Visibly reduces up to 10 years of stubborn dark marks in just 4 weeks. New Nivea Lumina 630. Get even and luminous skin.
Never miss a moment. Instant breaking news from all over the globe. Live streaming of your favorite programs delivered directly to you. Watch anytime from anywhere on your mobile or smart devices. Download the TVC News app today. Available on Google Play and Apple Store.
Stubborn dark marks? Try new Nivea Lumina 630. Visibly reduces up to 10 years of stubborn dark marks in just 4 weeks. New Nivea Lumina 630. Get even and luminous skin.
Okay, we're back, and Nigerians, what is the attitude to the cost of governance? Far too high is the opinion, whether it is informed or not, of most Nigerians. But it's not as if reducing the numbers in a convoy of one state governor or one minister, or for that matter the president, will solve all the problems, because there are other areas of spending, and let me not say waste. There are other areas of spending that is under this ambit of seeking a reduction in the cost of governance. There's the whole matter about the aids. Yeah, we've heard about, from Mr. Adekunle telling us, and it is true, how we've inherited the expatriate syndrome that the Oyimbos had when they were here. And we simply, when we took over as well, where government will provide even your fork, your spoon, and your knife for you, not to mention your plate. But there are some things that need to change in the minds of people, especially because this is a very important sacrifice that is being made at the behest of the Tinubu administration. He didn't start it. It was set up by the Muhammadu Buhari administration, but Tinubu got to execute it. And therefore, the paradigm is different now. So what shows the most is what we are just grabbing onto, because we see it day in, day out. But it's not as if it's the only thing. There seems to be no limit to the number of aides that a politician can have, be it the governor, be it minister, especially when it comes to governors and the president. That will have its costs, because all of this is in there. There are other hidden ones that we actually don't know about. It is that, Honorable Ogene Ego, that I think Nigerians are seeking a conversation on. That is there are so many areas. We're not saying Mr. Adekunle was pointing out, and you know already, that members of parliament in the UK, they ride tune, they're on the tube, they ride bicycles, they ride, in short, they are ordinary, and they can get arrested by the police if you misbehave, all of those kinds. In short, Mr. Adekunle explained the point that they're just a little different from us, but we don't have that. They are totally segmented in a sort of watertight compartment, all public officials, And that is what Nigerians are now questioning. And whereas Mr. Ego has spoken well about not focusing exclusively on the National Assembly and state houses of assembly, I accept that. But there is yet to be seen the offering of CS20. You know, I used to be in a Mercedes 7000 XLL. I just made that up. But now you can see that it's just a Mercedes 200 that we're using now. It's part of the sacrifice. That kind of a metaphor is not yet coming from government. But before you come in, sir, Honorable Ego, Mazi Okorafor has looked in from Arochukwu. Good morning, Mazi.
Good morning, English Center. You see, there's nothing wrong in moving subsidy. What we're talking about is the timing. Now, government would have looked into starting from Buhari's regime, the issue of how to cushion the effect of this removal. Now, if you look at
sorry, sir. Sorry, Mazi. I agree with you entirely, but we're talking now about reduction in the cost of goods. Subsidy has been removed. You've said it. There's nothing wrong in it. But let us all contribute to this belt tightening is the subject matter of this conversation. And government so far doesn't appear to have offered that yet in the minds of some.
But what we are supposed to look at is this, Ayori. If you look around, there are three major things a country looks into. One, food, security, and energy. Now, if you look at the World Bank report, they are saying that insecurity will slow down Nigerian goods. People have said it. But we are not, nobody supposed to tell us that. But the issue is this. If government will sit down and look at all the variables, the indices attached to it. Now, our educational sector, what is happening? There's a lot of people that have been going back to school. You have seen it, the school fees have increased. And people are saying, all these mass transit buses, and thank God for other states, for some states that are doing it. It is also, now look at what is happening in Southeast, where some group of women have proposed that from 1st August to what? To 14 August, people should start. Is it not affecting the economy? It is also affecting the economy of Southeast, economy of Nigeria, economy of West Africa. What are we supposed to do? Is it not now that we're supposed to take precautionary measures to avert such an incident? But as people are calling the Southeast governors, are they going now to sit down now that to fight something so that before that 1st August, something will not happen? But everybody is sitting that we are now waiting for fire brigade. Look, everybody has to see that, like what Reverend Father Joseph Abati said last one, he said that Nigerians are in accord that the petrol issue is there, go and buy good shoes so that we trade well. But even though you trade, you are also energizing yourself, it's also helping your head. But too much drinking also affects other systems. But the thing is that government should try as much as possible, in accordance we are preparing for the list of ministers, bring in people that we can bring the issue of this removal of subsidy. We don't bring in people that they just want to do follow come. No. Let us bring people that are technocrats, people that are talented, people that are ready to do the job. It will help us. Okay.
All right, Mazi, thank you very much for calling in. So coming to you now, Honorable Ego, I suppose part of the situation is also a very Nigerian aspect to politics, especially when you win an election. There's so many people to, quote-unquote, settle. There must be jobs for the boys. This is how you pay back. I'm just saying it as crudely as I am, maybe because I'm not a politician. But people think that that is what is going on here. So you keep on putting people in because you took a part. You took a part. You must be rewarded. And before we know, we have a bloated kind of governance structure between the executive, the MDAs, and all of that. I guess there's that aspect as well. Speak to that aspect of innumerable assistants, special assistants, the ones that are not special, the ones that are senior, the ones that are just regular assistants. That kind of way, the bill must be humongous.
Yes, I agree with you that the demand for the public, especially the constituencies, is enormous. And as a result, honorable members, senators, you know, they face the prospect of going to look for more money to take care of them. And this sometimes affects the cost of governance. Because everybody is coming Everybody believes that the honorable member should build a house for them. He should pay their hospital bill, should send their children to school. You know, even total things that is not supposed to be the duty of the honorable member. So these are a lot of pressure. But we can still reduce the cost of governance. And in doing that, I'm saying let's look at the whole country holistically. Let's look at the executive arm. Let's look at ministers. How much do ministers spend to run their offices? Nobody talks about it.
Maybe this is even the time to look at proper fiscal federalism. But I know that's a big subject. In the meantime, Mr. George has come in. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and good morning to your guests.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Uncle Yori, no matter how we overflow this issue of cost of governance, it's not going to work as long as the National Assembly have this kind of attitude that they are displaying. You bring a budget to them, they will, instead of scrutinizing the budget, they will increase the budget, for their own maintenance. I don't know where that is done. For as long as they are the ones to approve the budget, it will be difficult to reduce cost of governance at the National Assembly level. What can happen, what I would want to suggest, is that Nigeria should scrap one chamber in the National Assembly. Let us have one chamber, either the Senate or the House of Representatives. So if we maintain two chambers, it will continue to remain like that.
Exactly.
But as I'm seeing on your station, there is a breaking news that NSC is threatening to go on a strike because of removal of fuel subsidy. I'm really surprised at what NSC is doing. They seem to be playing politics. NSC supported a candidate during the elections, and that candidate said he was going to remove fuel subsidy. NSC campaign, we saw them. Now, the subsidy has been removed by the person that won. Instead of NSC to come up with ideas on how subsidy can be ameliorated, the effects of subsidy can be, they didn't come up with anything. They're just behaving like people who didn't go to school. It is not the government that fixes price of petroleum or petrol anymore. Once the subsidy is removed, you cannot blame the government about the price. They're asking that the government will should cancel the subsidy remover. Exactly. Who does that?
No.
Please, somebody should educate them.
All right, then. Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George. Mr. Adekunle, I saw that you had a nice, good laugh there. Honorable Ego, I was with you before, but I wanted to go to Mr. Adekunle. Mr. Adekunle, you had a nice laugh there. You agreed. And don't forget that Honorable Ego had, no, it wasn't Honorable Ego. It was Mr. George who called in from Lagos, who was saying that as long as things remain the way they are, the National Assembly, there's no way it's going to legislate against its own interests, so that is a problem there.
But it's not exactly like that. Sorry, FOLARIN, it's not exactly like that. National Assembly cannot, beyond the budget that is provided, which the presidency also is aware of, National Assembly cannot unilaterally increase the budget to satisfy themselves. It has never happened. Rather, when National Assembly looks at the budget, if they find that a certain part of the country are cheated in the allocation of resources, they can draw the attention of the ministry to it, and with common agreement, the budget can be increased to take care of all the areas. So National Assembly, they carry out a balancing act, but it's not as if National Assembly is just here to enrich themselves. No. But like I said, there's need to reduce the cost of government across the board, and National Assembly will also have to suffer it. National Assembly need to sit with the executive and say, hey, National Assembly, you must reduce this. And it should not be at the national level only. Even at the state. Yes. You find out that from the states, yes.
At a tiny level, people have always opined that the National Assembly is paying itself too much. It's easy to say when you are not the person. I understand.
The National Assembly that fixes their salary. The mistake people are making is allowances for the job of a National Assembly member. So National Assembly members like me, I have close to 1 million people in my constituency. When you have a constituency like that, you have constituency office, you have staff, you cannot pay that from your pocket because you don't have the money. So there's a provision, you know, when you go for oversight, for flight ticket to and fro, to stay hotel, there's a provision. And this money, you retire it. You give account of how it was spent. The salary is
it's not like the security vote.
To look at all the people look at all the money spent to run the office. You don't look at it.
Okay, I don't know. I beg your pardon, sir. People want to talk on this subject. Alex has called in from Abuja, for example. Good morning, Mr. Alex.
Hello.
Mr. Alex, maybe, I don't know, you're not going to be able to speak for more than 30 seconds. So maybe I should just go on the break now that I would have gone had you started. And if you can hold on, please do. Otherwise, try calling back. We're going on this break now. Do stay with us. We'll be right back.
There is always more to a story than the scripted line. The part of a story that is not told casts a shadow. It's like the part of an object that is not reached by light. On TVC News, I'm able to explore the many angles there are to a story, talking to stakeholders, asking the difficult questions, and digging for facts. I believe the viewers are able to make a better decision if they're well informed and understand not just a part, but the complete story. TVC News, first with breaking news.
So how do we reduce the cost of governance in Nigeria? Got two people, looking at this subject, Mr. Honorable Ogene Ego, former member of the House of Representatives, and Mr. Tunde Adekunle, expert oil and gas projects management. And in the meantime, we got a call in from, I think Mr. Alex in Abuja is still there. Morning, morning, Mr. Alex. No, he's not there anymore. Or are you? Okay, so coming to you, Mr. Adekunle, you were about to speak, but the honorable gentleman, he came in because he had to, address what he felt was an erroneous impression. But now, back to you. The whole matter about looking inward and deciding which of your perks, as a sort of a token, which of your perks are you ready to give up now? We've not heard anything like that, and that seems to be... there was a video circulating on social media this morning, saying this morning in Lagos, and there were hordes of people walking to their places of livelihood. So they're busy putting those kind of pictures out. It would be nice if it can be matched with a scale down in the opulence of governance, or what do you think?
First of all, I'd like to respond to what the Honorable said.
Sure.
And he opened a good door. He said people look at the perks of the office, that the remuneration is 800,000 naira or thereabout, or something, if I'm right. Yes, it is that perks of office that is the problem. Now, when you some of the perks are furniture allowance, dressing allowance, and the begging question is this: were they naked? Were they walking naked before they came honorables? This cuts across both federal and state. Dressing allowance, furniture allowance, tea allowance, traveling allowance.
Frivolities to most ordinary suffering Nigerians.
Yes.
Yes.
Because I can let me say something here. Now, like I said, the legislator here, and the citizen, the average citizen, there is not much of any difference.
In the UK.
The perks they have. Sorry?
In the UK.
Yes, in Britain, even in UK, even in America, even in Germany, they are just like you and I.
Okay.
They're just like the next door neighbor. There's no difference.
But that is not our style. sorry, sir, that is not our Niger
like
style.
I said,
that is not the Niger style.
It is not.
We have a Rankadede kind of a style.
Like I said, we inherited, when they came, they handed it over to us and left for their various countries.
And then we took over.
And we took over and we built on it. It is not. It is alien to them, because they like now. If you are living in Nigeria, you have your own house. You have, of course, when you're going outside the country, you have to be made comfortable. To leave your country, you be made comfortable where you are going.
I understand.
Maybe that place is a hostile country. You have to be made comfortable. Security will be provided for you and all that. Well, but when you go back to Nigeria, you live like a Nigerian.
Okay, but you know, maybe that's part of the attitude. The man who is coming in from one of the states who's been elected into the National Assembly, now you have to take care of him till he comes back to his regular. Tony in Enugu, good morning to you, sir. Tony in Enugu.
Good morning, Mr. Yori. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, please, I want to contribute to what the topic is all about.
Sure.
Cost of governance. Please. That has been in the front burner for many years. We Nigerians are very, very good in maybe discussion and profiling solutions in all of this. But at the end of the day, it will come to naught. The National Assembly, they are ab initio, they are meant to be part-time. You remember when it was discussed a long time ago, it was supposed to be part-time. But look at them. Only 3 days in a week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They go home. And they are taking the chunk of Nigeria. Look at the flamboyance with which the Senate president, the way he moves now. He moves more than some African countries' president.
Okay. So what you're doing, sorry, Tony, because we've run out of time. Thank you very much for calling in. You are underlining what we are talking about. That, in fact, you introduced another word, flamboyance. This is the way a lot of Nigerians, whether it is right or wrong is another matter. Honorable Ego, I understand that you're very anxious to butt in here because you've also taken part in this flamboyance, especially between 8th and 9th Assembly. So go ahead, sir, and say what you want to say.
Yes. Now, the National Assembly does not sit for only 3 days. After this meeting, there are committee meetings, and there are oversight. All that is part of the city. You see 3 days, all the committees will be meeting. There's public hearing on Monday, Fridays, even sometimes Saturdays. We can even say National Assembly is sitting 6 days. But
that's important.
If you just look at only the one they sit in the plenary, then you are wrong. National Assembly sees more than
thank you
but
for that.
We agree that there's need to reduce cost of governance. The National Assembly need to cut down costs. But the executive arm of government, that's where much of the money is going to. That's why I'm saying you cut costs here more. For instance, a governor that is having security vote running into billions of naira monthly, and nobody knows
it's not accounted for.
People are not focusing there at all. All they talk about National Assembly. Meanwhile, the budget of National Assembly is less than 1%, less than 0.5% of the total budget. So we should look at the executive arm of government too, and then with the National Assembly together. But when we continue to focus on National Assembly alone, we get it wrong. Because even if National Assembly cut all the costs, the cost of government will still be high. Because what is expended in National Assembly is infinitesimal compared to the total budget of the nation. But I agree that the common man is suffering, and some people cannot continue to live like lords. And National Assembly members, they are ordinary people. They are not people who they say they are above the law, they can't be arrested by police. No. They are only immune on what they say during the city. You know, so but this impression that National Assembly people are big people is wrong.
I hear you. Let me go back to Mr. Adekunle because we're fast running out of time. And I hear what you're saying, but I don't know, this attitude, the aspect that the honorable gentleman is interested in pointing out is that far too much attention is being paid to the National Assembly. But so let me just say, Mr. Adekunle, that, you know, we're hearing that the presidency, in coming up with its ministerial nominees list, it's also sort of consolidating some different aspects of governance into one, all in an effort to sort of make it more efficient, make it less costly. So I imagine that they also, in the Tinubu administration, are looking at what they can add to this whole matter. But there is no doubt that we can do a lot more in terms of reducing the size of governance. We might not get to where you guys are in the UK, where honorable members and distinguished senators are to be seen on trains and on buses and on bicycles, but at least we start from somewhere, right, Mr. Adekunle?
Yes, fine. The honorable laid emphasis on the fact that people see picking on the National Assembly members. Yes, people are picking on them more because they are supposed to be our representatives. So, and we elected them.
Okay.
Not that we don't pick on the government,
we do,
but they are supposed to be part of us. So, okay. But they are alienated from us.
All right. Well, I'm afraid we've run out of time. Thank you very much, Mr. Adekunle. I'm afraid we've run out of time. It always hurts because there's so many people who would have wanted to call in, couldn't get through it. So I've just got to say thank you very much to you, Mr. Tunde Adekunle, oil and gas projects management expert, and thank you, and also Honorable Ogene Ego, former member of the House of Reps and member of the ECOWAS Parliament. Thank you also for making time available for us this morning. Gentlemen, we appreciate you all. So
thank you very much.
Indeed. So that's our program. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am YORI FOLARIN. Bye-bye for now.
Is a paid presentation by ShopX TV.
Do you spend the night trying to get comfortable? Your knees rub bone on bone. Your back and hips ache. You wake up in pain? Not anymore. ShopX TV is proud to